shouldn't be too cold because when I got water this morning, the lake was still warm. I was expecting that, you know.
I can confidently say our little side trip did not disappoint. We followed the edge of the lake shore till the trail ran into the trees, and then we scrambled up off trail to this little knob. Check out this view across the valley. Just epic.
I know we're not that far off.
could be mistaken, but I believe that's King's Peak right in the center of the shot, which is the tallest point in Utah. And we had actually hoped to summit that on this trip. And later on, I'll talk about why we chose not to do that route. Here's another little tarn close to camp that's almost dried up. We are at the base of the pass, and I don't know how well it translates on video, but it is straight up.
dish detergent in the 5-gallon buckets that you would hook up to your or
After about 4 hours of having to take refuge in our tents from the storm, the sun is finally out again. Here is a look from the other side of Jordan Lake. Absolutely stunning.
Good.
What has been your favorite day of this trip so far?
Listening to you do your day in here, I would almost say today. Kind of base camp and then going out, kind of off trail, hitting the lakes, a bit more higher elevation. But I will say Rocky Sea Pass was definitely kind of a close second, going over and back over again.
Did you have a least favorite day of the trip?
Probably like most hikers, the first day. Full pack, haven't got into the groove yet, hitting the trail, remembering why Utah is very rocky. Stepping on, pretty much walking on boulders, rocks, any size for a while, getting used to that.
And this is your second time in the Uintas, correct?
Correct.
Tell us a little bit about how this trip compares to the last one.
On the first one, we came in after about a snowed week, 2 weeks beforehand. Elk season had started, so you had a lot of horsepackers coming through, real silty, mucky going up along with the rocks. Going up there, we came back down, hit another trailhead to make the hike easier, but this one was definitely a more memorable experience, a good experience. The other one was definitely memorable.
How did you feel about the elevation out here overall? Kind of most of the trail being between 10 and 11,000 feet.
After doing Whitney, this was a cakewalk. No difficulties at all. You know, we had some tough sections, but that was about it. Nothing like 3 weeks ago.
Is there anything that you wanted to see out here but haven't yet?
Typical elk. Heard them. Closer than probably what I thought they were, but heard them.
Do you think you'll come back to the Uintas again?
Oh yeah, definitely. Definitely.
And is there anything else you would like to say to all your friends at home who will be watching this?
My normal motto. Wake up, kick ass, and repeat. Move forward with life, people.
There we have it. The legend speaks. All right, boys and girls, it's going on 6 p.m. We just finished up dinner kind of early because once again, there's gray skies and thunder looming. And so, it's a time for celebration. Celebration of being alive and surviving the mountains of Utah. I figure this is as good a time as any to do a little recap of the trip. Day one in the high Uintas, we hiked into Bean Lake, probably the least scenic and my least favorite day of the hike. And it was still a really good day. Scenery was still great. The lake we camped at was awesome. The mule deer hanging around camp were a lot of fun. Just the first day getting out here after traveling, hiking in with a 42-pound pack, takes a toll on you. That's for sure. Day two, we continued south onto Papa Lake. That was a really awesome day. One of my favorites of the whole trip, actually. Great scenery, Chad and I were both kind of getting into our stride with hiking, knowing when to take breaks, when to stop for lunch. We did a little side trip that added some mileage that day, but the lakes we saw on the side trip were just spectacular. Pine Island Lake in particular really stands out. That was great. We got to Papa Lake, found a good camp spot, and realized there were a lot of other people in that same area camping. I will say, credit to them though, everybody had pretty good etiquette, and everybody chose sites that were kind of hidden away in the trees, so that as you're walking through there and enjoying the lakeshore, you're not just seeing a sea of tents out everywhere. That was pretty good. Day 3, we hiked up to 3-in-1 Lakes Basin. That area was also beautiful. Another really good scenery day. That was also a day that we started to really climb in some elevation, and I was kind of shocked at how well both of us were moving up at this altitude. Even though we've both been up higher than this before, it was just a good feeling, being able to keep a good pace throughout the entire day. That lake was another beautiful campsite. I know I need to try to find better words to use to describe some of these places. I guess I want these videos to be more about the scenery and the wilderness and the surroundings than my public speaking skills. But again, another beautiful basin. I was able to hike around and see most of the lakes in the basin. Didn't have time to get to all of them. Day 4, we hiked up and over Rocky Sea Pass, and our intention was to do kind of a lollipop loop down on the Rock Creek drainage. And as we were coming up the pass, we got some intel initially from some people doing the Highline trail, and later on I talked to a lady who had specifically been down to Gladys Lake, and pretty much what we heard from everybody was that it was all not only fire burn, but a lot of blowdown that hadn't been cleared. And since this is a wilderness area, they don't necessarily have trail crews that come in and clean up every section of every trail on a yearly basis. Sometimes they just kind of sit that way until horse packers or whoever make their way out there and cut some of those down trees and clear up the trail for people to get through again. So we cut that day short. That was a pretty easy decision when we came up Rocky Sea Pass, which was gorgeous view from up there in both directions. Looked down into that kind of valley and saw a lake, and Chad and I were both like, hey, let's check it out and see if there's good camping there. Turns out there was. There's been great camping everywhere on this trip. So cutting that day short also meant cutting day 5 a little short. We came back up and over the pass. That was kind of an adventure. Walking up to that pass from the other side, you just see a wall that appears to go straight up. You really can't see the trail until you're on it. Again, we made good time coming up that though. We made it up that pass, which was 400 plus feet in less than half an hour, moving at a fairly casual pace through most of it. That was pretty good. Since we kind of had some time to kill, we did some off-trail exploring up from the top of the pass, got some better views of Spread Eagle and some of the surrounding peaks. That was a lot of fun and great weather that allowed us to do that. The evening of day 5, we camped at Carroll Lake. When we first got there, there was a group of about 5 or 6 people walking around the lake fishing, which was fine. And then we had it to ourselves for a while. That lake kind of sits down in the trees a little bit, very marshy, mucky lakeshore, but still a good place to spend the evening. We had a ton of mule deer hanging around camp as it got dark then. Actually, after I laid down in my tent, there were a few of them stomping around really close by. Made for an interesting night. Then yesterday, we worked our way up here to Natural Basin, which I was kind of hoping would be sort of a highlight of the trip, and it did not disappoint. This is just fantastic. As we were hiking in yesterday, the thunder and storm clouds were rolling in. We pretty much got here right in time to get a few things done, get tents set up, and then we were stuck in the tents with the rain for most of the afternoon. Around evening time, the rain finally let up, and we got out, made dinner, and I spent a little bit of time walking up and down the shore of Jordan Lake here. That was really nice. There's a ton of campsites that are honestly better than the one we chose. Initially, we were going to try to spend a night on the east side up a little higher and then make our way over to the west side of the lake. And with the weather coming in, it just made more sense to get to camp as soon as we could. And then this morning, it was an easy decision that, hey, we're just going to leave everything set up here, take our little day packs, and explore as much of this basin as we can. So we headed out around 9 a.m. and as we made our way up on the little shelf that kind of sits above the lake behind us, coolest part of the whole trip for me. All the lakes up there were absolutely amazing. I mean, just jaw-droppingly beautiful. As we started making our way up there, we were following a trail, and then we lost it and were completely off trail for a while. Found another trail, that kind of disappeared. We were route finding again. Every now and again we'd see cairns. I actually enjoy having a chance to do hikes like that. A lot of what we've hiked through has been such dense forest that off-trail travel wasn't really feasible. And it was cool just to kind of get up there and figure it out and kind of follow what the terrain suggested would be the easiest way to get from point A to B. But we got to see most of the lakes up there that we wanted. There was one that we didn't have time for and one more that was dried up. Then as we got to the last of the lakes up high on that shelf, the sketchy weather started rolling in on us again. We started hearing thunder off in the distance. Gray skies were creeping in, and so we were like, hey, it's time to make our way downhill, get back toward camp as quick as we can. Hopefully, if we got rained on, we would at least be down in the trees, and if we got really lucky, we'd be back to camp in our tent before the rain came. And oddly enough, the rain never came earlier today. All the signs were there, and it just kind of passed us right over. Little bit of a bummer. I really could have spent another couple of hours up there walking around. I really wanted to get some more photographs of two of those lakes in particular, but conditions just weren't being friendly. Speaking of conditions not being friendly, rain clouds are upon us again, so I might be cutting this short. We'll see how it goes. First time in the high Uintas, and it's been great every day. I know I said I had a least favorite and a favorite day, but not a day of this trip has been bad by any means. And even though the rains kind of came in on us at the end of the trip, we had beautiful weather the first 6.5 days. So can't be upset about that at all. A few days ago, I was talking about Kings Peak and trying to summit it on this trip, and I said I would talk a little bit about that. Our buddy Rex, that usually hikes with Chad and I, actually helped us plan a trip in another part of the Uintas, and summiting Kings Peak was part of that route. And he did a lot of work and went through a lot of trouble to help us plan that trip. And unfortunately, work responsibilities kind of got in the way of this for him, and he had to cancel. And Chad and I talked about it, and it was a pretty easy decision. It didn't feel right to do that route without him. So we decided to put that trip on hold until maybe next year. Really want the three of us to be able to do that together. And kind of last minute, I put together a rough idea of a route down here in a different part of the Uintas. And then Chad and I kind of made some decisions on a day-to-day basis that changed that up a little bit. I don't feel like we missed out on anything coming here instead of doing the original route we planned. This has been amazing every day. This is a really stunning mountain range, and I'm glad I got to come out and spend a week here. I'll definitely be back, not only to do the route summiting Kings Peak that we had planned, but there's some other areas out here I want to check out. And on that note, it looks like we're getting hail. This is going to be the end of day number 7. See you in the morning. Good morning, friends. It is day number 8 and the last day of the trip. So when you last saw me yesterday, we had a hailstorm coming in. That hit us really hard for about half an hour, and then the sun actually came back out for the last 30 minutes of the day. Once it got dark, we had rain and lightning and thunderstorms on and off through most of the night. It's currently around 7 a.m. We got up around 6, and it looks like the skies are mostly clear. We have about a 6-mile hike back to the trailhead to finish up the trip. All of it is going to be backtracking, and due to the fact that we still may have some weather coming in, and we're both kind of ready to get back to the car, ready for pizza and beer and showers and all that good stuff. It's been amazing out here, but all good things come to an end. This is officially going to be the end of the trip. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please take a minute to like, comment, or subscribe, and we'll see you next time.